You're listening to Susan Graham Ryan on ABC North Queensland.
More Than Words with Wendy Demonari.
How is your 2023 going so far? How is it really going? Are you experiencing lots of change? It sort of pops up at this time of year. Maybe you're back to work or getting the kids ready for school, or maybe some of your regular activities have been changed around. Our communications trainer, Wendy Demonari, tells me what you should do if you're experiencing a whole lot of change right now.
There are three options you've got when it comes to change. You can either fight it, which is very tiring. You can stick your head in the sand or run away from it, which doesn't really solve anything, doesn't help. Or you can embrace it.
And in a workplace setting, that first option you mentioned, fighting it, it doesn't create a great environment for the people that you work with necessarily either. So when we are faced with that change and we are going to embrace it, what are some of your tips?
Change is always a little bit confronting. It's a little bit difficult because so often it means stepping outside our comfort zone, which is very yummy and nice and warm, but we need to step outside of that sometimes in order to grow. So here's a couple of tips. Why not, and it's the start of a new year, take on some new projects and responsibilities. So have you been stuck doing the same old, same old?
Oh, I think we all have, haven't we? You can feel like maybe sometimes you're in a little bit of a rut, but you can also, and you see that you want to make a change, but sometimes that can be also really scary.
It can be scary, but if you stay where you are, you're treading water. You know, you're not actually moving upstream or downstream or wherever you want to go.
Any stream.
Stream. You're just basically staying there. So I think now is the time. Beginning of a new year, now's the time to stick your hand up, take on some new responsibilities and explore some new roles. Those challenges, they're really going to help you learn and grow and develop and really develop those skills to your fullest potential.
So it's making change maybe by small steps.
Yeah, small steps, I think. You don't have to take big, gigantic steps here. Just little steps. Constant, regular, frequent little steps will move you ahead.
Yeah. And that gets you used to the idea of change if you have been in that place of stagnation for such a long time.
That's right.
What's another tip that you have for us?
Okay, well, it sort of ties in a little bit with that. And I say this is the ideal opportunity to start thinking about expanding your skill set. Now, whether that means updating some qualifications, and let's face it, you know, if you've been in the same job for a while, the job that you inherited is not necessarily the job that it is today. Yeah, so you might find that, you know, you do need to update those skills. You might need to update your qualifications, learn new technology, learn something new. I think this is a brilliant way of stepping outside your comfort zone and embracing change. And, you know, the growth that comes from this is fantastic.
Yeah. One more tip for us about change, Wendy.
Okay, another tip I think is to, what about, you know, if you've been sitting there for a while thinking, I'd like to maybe coach or guide or mentor somebody, or has somebody ever said to you, you know, you're managerial material? Well, don't just sit there. Stop dreaming and start doing. You know, this is your moment. This is your year. This is your time to put your hand up again and offer to coach or guide or mentor somebody. Not only will you be helping other people, you'll learn so many great new skills yourself as well.
Yeah. Such an interesting thing, because I think at this time of year we are seeing so many changes in our lives. Kids are going back to school. Maybe our job is making some changes in what we're doing, or maybe you've tried to change and tweak some of your lifestyle habits. Tell me about a moment that you have had in your life that there's been some change.
Well, I've had quite a lot of moments, I think. Probably one of the biggest moments that I had was a decision I took. Well, my family at the time, we took about 18 years ago. We decided to pack up everything and move to the south of France. It did help that I was married to a Frenchman. But it was a huge thing because I had a very good public service job. We had a house. He had a business. My daughter had just started year one. And we had reached a stage in our lives where we decided it was time to do something different. We sold the house, we sold the business, I took leave from my job. We just left everything behind us, arrived in France with 5 suitcases, I remember it distinctly, to start a completely new life. Now, this is really a big thing. This is not a little thing to do. Obviously, I could speak a little bit of French, but still it was a huge learning curve, having to learn a new language, adapt to a new culture where every aspect of life was different. On the surface, it didn't seem as if it was, but everything from shopping to talking to teachers to making phone calls, dealing with the bureaucracy, everything was different. Going over there, starting a new life, starting my own communications business in France. It was an incredible journey, an incredible experience. And then, years later, I turn around and do it all over again, except I leave La France and I come back to Australia. And, that was, again, another big change, another sort of stepping out of my comfort zone, because I was at a different stage of my life then. Things were different and there were different things to deal with.
And in both of those situations, getting out there and making that huge change, but also communicating with people along the way and learning new languages, new cultures, new habits and new styles of communication probably as well.
Absolutely.
They would have all been things that you did in those times, maybe whether you realised it or not.
Yes, absolutely. And I think obviously there were times when it was very difficult, very challenging, but I think you've got to concentrate on the positive side of it, what you're getting out of it, the opportunities that it's affording you, the experiences that you have, and try to balance up that sort of perhaps negative thinking with that positive growth. Way, growth mindsets type of thinking.
Yeah. Well, we're not saying that you need to move to France, but you can if you want to.
No. But I see you don't need to take such a radical step. There are other things that you can do. Look, even small things. If you find yourself eating the same thing every day, or you're going to the same places, or reading the same books, or seeing the same films, or talking to the same people, it's in those little everyday moments that you can spice things up a bit and you can change your routine. The good things about doing that, when you do it sort of in like small steps, is that you start developing your adaptability muscle. That's what I call it. And that means that when more challenging situations come along, you've been flexing that adaptability muscle, and it means that you are in a better position, you are more resilient and in a better position then to deal with those bigger challenges that come along.
That is our communications trainer, Wendy Demonari, with More Than Words. It's 20 to 11 and you're on ABC North Queensland